TV3Newday, time now for the newspaper headlines before we get into our conversation for this morning. Daily Guide says former President Mahama attacks EC boss again, and there's a photo of John Mahama and Jean Mensah. You'll find that story on page 3. Go ahead and read it and find out more. Now, let's be firm on Guinea crisis. That's according to the chairman of ECOWAS, who doubles as the president of Ghana, President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo. And yesterday, we're told that some heads of state converged here in the country to have further talks on the way forward with Guinea, and some further sanctions have been put out there. And so we'll get into those details as we discuss them moving on. AG decries lawyers' judiciary attacks. That's also on page 3. The Catholic Standard, from taxi driver to Catholic bishop, the story of an African immigrant in U.S. And also NMC sets up committee for GBC reforms. Catholic journalists in West Africa cautioned against promoting terrorism. Pay your taxes, President Akufo-Addo, to professionals, and Cardinal and Mother Saka beautified in Poland. That's on page 3. Now, the weekend today says police storm KNUST over rival halls. We're told that there's heavy security on campus, and students have been charged to leave campus once they're done with their exams. And the SRC president on campus says, well, for some time now, there's been heavy security on campus because of a number of issues. And so we're not perturbed by it. And of course, we accept whatever it is that the administration advises us to do. ECOWAS meets in Accra over Guinea. That happened yesterday. This will be the second meeting that ECOWAS has had since the coup in Guinea, and a number of things have come up as a result. I will give you those details shortly. Brian Echampon, the budding entrepreneur from the mountain tip, and our veteran female artist, see page 8. We have a number of them on there. Republic Press, Ministry of Communication and Digitization supports 100 girls in ICT with laptops, and the photos of that as well. Kachi police arrest 3 suspected armed robbers, and Legacy Capital customers seek sex intervention to retrieve locked up funds. Namwan's company in car fraud swindles men's gold customers again. Now, you find that story on page 3. Mama angry with economic experts on page 3 as well. And my wife knows I have a side chick, according to Odike of the UPP. And also on the Daily Analyst, we have a photo of Dr. Patrick Kuma Abuaji. He's the Director General of the Ghana Health Service. And we're told that Moderna vaccine rollout begins next week, as we have received some new vaccines. And so you'll find all those details on the Daily Analyst as well. Report attacks against you. The NMC boss charges journalists. And also Guinea-Mali crisis. We need durable solutions. ECOWAS chair. That's on page 3. And for that, President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, who's the chairman of ECOWAS, along with some key members of ECOWAS after the extraordinary summit on political situations in the Republic of Guinea and Mali, publishing a Jura committee report. Government can't be forced. And Dr. Vladimir Entry Danso, one of the 3 members that were, involved in the committee that's supposed to put out the report, he's the one speaking. We're still expecting the full details of that report to come out soon. Daily Graphic, again, protect democratic values. President urges ECOWAS leaders. And that's from our President Akufo-Addo, pardon me, and Mr. Jean-Claude Cassibrou, who's in the front row, second left, and of course, some of the other heads of states. And NMC moves to halt impunity against media. ECOWAS places travel ban on Guinea military junta. And so moving on to the Finder now, and report indicts radio and TV stations for interviewing fewer female experts. That's on page 5. And redefine corporate governance. Nana Otosrebo II is speaking on that. Immigration deported 271 foreigners in 2020. Nationals of 22 countries affected, and Guinea military junta hit with travel ban, given 6 months to return to democratic rule. Agreements reached to intensify cooperation to deliver COVID-19 vaccines. And I think that should be it for the papers. Okay, Business and Financial Times. SNIT pays 1.8 billion Ghana cedis in half-year pension benefits. And also NHIS to phase out NHIS cards by 2022. Also, economic structure undergoing reset, NDPC boss. And Guba premieres 2021 awards to celebrate a century of Yas Santua's resilience. And they've announced that for the first time, the award ceremony will hold in Ghana. And finally, Trips goes live to offer convenient mobility services. That's it for the headlines in the newspapers. Joining me this morning, I have lawyer Edudi Tamaklo, and he's a member of the legal team of the NDC. Good to have you in the studios. How are you doing?
Good morning, Bella.
Everything okay?
By God's grace.
Okay.
We can only pray for a good weekend.
Definitely. Restful one as well,
yes,
for many of us who are stressed.
My regards to my brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Mr. Richard Nyama is here. He's also a member of the NPP communications team. Good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning.
Okay. Quick one before we move on. Happy birthday, Opon Kesiwa baby. This is from your dad, Kwame Bernard and Mavis Obaya. God bless you so much. And so happy birthday to you. We'll start off with the meeting yesterday with some heads of states who form part of ECOWAS, where they have placed a travel ban on Guinea military junta. So the Economic Community of West African States has placed a travel ban on all the members of the military junta in Guinea and their immediate family members. Now, it says, in addition, the regional political and economic bloc has placed a freeze on the financial assets of the coup makers and their immediate family members. This was disclosed last night by the president of ECOWAS, Mr. Jean-Claude Cassibou, at a news conference after the second extraordinary summit on the political crisis in Guinea at the Kempinski Hotel. And so you'd remember that on Sunday, September 5, there was a coup that saw the Guinean president, now former president Alpha Condé, being detained by the military. And this coup was led by Colonel Mamadi Doumbouya. And they've also been holding, the Colonel has been holding, a meeting with some members, very key members in community, and also discussing the way forward. But these are the bans that have been placed on Guinea. Remember that during the first extraordinary summit as well that was held, that was an emergency one. There were also some sanctions that were proffered on them. And again, the president was hoping that they would return immediately, or at least put together a transition team to return to democratic rule. And so I don't know what you think about the latest on this. I'll start off with you, lawyer Edudi Tamaklo.
Okay, so once again, good morning to your viewers. First of all, I think this level of hypocrisy exhibited by ECOWAS leaders should rather be sanctioned.
How?
It is their hypocrisy that should be sanctioned.
How and why?
Just last year, August, Professor Alpha Condé, having done 2 terms, decided to change the constitution of Guinea to do a 3rd term. At that time, these leaders never had the courage to call him to order. And now, he changes a democratic arrangement to allow him to do a 3rd term. That is what has resulted in the coup today. And these people have the temerity to say they are sanctioning him. The hypocrisy. Look at this graphic paper. The person standing by President Akufo-Addo is Alassane Ouattara.
Yeah.
He changed the constitution of Ivory Coast to allow him to do a 3rd term. And he has the courage to even come and stand there and say they should sanction the military leaders in Guinea. We should not tolerate this level of hypocrisy. You see, the accounts have, there's this popular song in those days, Kukru Kukru ni Jaya, Kike Kike no Beja. When your own colleague decided to change the constitution, that was when these leaders would say, look, Professor Alpha Condé, your decision to change the constitution of Guinea does not accord with the spirit of ECOWAS. So we are isolating you.
But could they have done that?
Yes.
Because again, these are internal matters, and ECOWAS cannot necessarily interfere
so why are they
in internal matters.
No, why are they sanctioning it? Why are they sanctioning the coup leader if it's internal? The fact that they are sovereign, there's also a question of interdependence. So if there is any group of people who should be sanctioned, it's the hypocrisy of these leaders.
But the Foreign Affairs Minister said that ECOWAS, in a way, spoke on this issue.
Did what?
Even before, the coup happened.
No.
Which is the question that a lot of people are asking. How did ECOWAS intervene?
What is even painful
before the coup?
What is even painful is that when Alpha Conde changed the constitution and ran again, look at the brutality in Guinea.
Yeah.
When he won the election, President Akufo-Addo applauded him, congratulated him. When Alassane Ouattara changed the constitution of Ivory Coast in the same manner to do a third term, the president even attended his inauguration. What? So your body language in one way is saying that you encourage this recklessness. I have always said that I believe in democratic system where there is rule of law. I do not support coup. However, where you make the practice of democracy an impossibility, I believe that what happened in Guinea, where Alpha Conde changed the constitution to allow a third term, was in itself a coup d'etat. What he did was to undermine the constitution of Guinea. Having done that, these leaders have no moral authority to now call the military leaders to order. I do not even know how useful these sanctions they claim they have imposed on these leaders in Guinea will be.
You don't think
their hypocrisy?
I mean, they sanctioned the Malian military as well, and well, we're expecting that elections would happen anyway.
You see.
So does it not have any effect at all?
Bella, I am completely disappointed this morning, and they have taken photographs. Look at them. You saw the problem when it was happening. That was when you just gathered the courage, Professor Conde, at your age. Please stay out. Allow the two-term rule to go on. President Ouattara, you have done enough for Ivory Coast. In fact, you even allow your prime minister to contest until he died last minute. So why change the constitution? To allow you to do a third term. You could have found a replacement. President Akufo-Addo attended the inauguration as though nothing happened. We're
talking about the Ivorian president at this point. Now, for the Ivorian president, he said that because there was a change in the constitution as well, it allowed him to run again.
No. In fact, the prime minister became the flag bearer of the party.
But he died. He died before.
So the party, are you telling me that there's no other human being in the political party? And that it must necessarily be Alassane Ouattara? And remember that the constitution was changed to allow him to do a third term. So the point I'm making is that when you cannot peer review your own colleagues, you do not have the moral authority to now tell this young military, the French colonel, and look at it. You, the same Professor Conde, went for this guy, a member of the French Legionnaire, to come and join and beef up your own security setup, thinking that he was going to use him to run down opposition and dissent. Let's be truthful for once. These people have no authority whatsoever. In fact, if there's anything that should be sanctioned, it is their hypocrisy.
Their hypocrisy. Yes. Richard, what do you say? Because again, the issue of the Ivorian president and the fact that he ran a third term, he's currently president, nobody called him out necessarily, and he's part of the team that's preferring sanctions on Guinea. Does it work?
Let me say good morning to your viewers and use this opportunity to wish my wife a happy birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
Happy birthday to Mrs. Nyama. You have to do something really nice for her later today.
Unfortunately for me, she's out
There's
of
no...
she's out of the jurisdiction. So I'll make it up.
All right.
And in Chumuma sounded romantic. This requires
when it comes to love, it's a different ballgame altogether.
I've always been.
Let's carry on.
Look, the Guinean case is a classical case study of the trend of coup d'etats and the changing phases of military takeovers on the continent, but in particular the West African sub-region. I doubt any particular country has been spared of military intervention since independence. I think each and every one of us have suffered, and to a large extent, it's symptomatic of the bad governance that we witness in the sub-region. But also how it speaks to how weak constitutional democracy is, how fragile it is. And after some 50 years plus of independence, we still are struggling to find our feet as to how to even govern ourselves. So no wonder we are where we are when it comes to development, because we take 2 steps forward and 1 step back, what we call the Babangida boogie in political science. I hear ECOWAS say there was several attempts and interventions to stop the constitutional review in Guinea. Yeah, you see, if there is no standing protocol within ECOWAS that stops that from taking place in the first place, it reduces any intervention to mere advice and a good attempt or good faith attempt by the co-presidents. My prayer is that moving forward, considering what has happened in Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso is a nutcase. And even Mali, actually the sub-region, if you take the Saharan as part of the sub-region, it's gone to the dogs. Terrorists are virtually taking over, and they are the ones in charge of the governments in these countries. There is the need for some serious thought to go into the ECOWAS protocols and how things are run going forward. Jammeh did the same thing, and here we are. He cited Ivory Coast. If you are a leader and you cannot find a suitable replacement when your the time is up, it only tells that you failed as a leader, because part of being a good leader is identifying and grooming successors. And if you've not been able to do that, then you failed. So then why, in this case, carry on. I'll ask that question later. But I think that the hands of the leadership of ECOWAS is tied because there is no standing protocol that says that if you do a constitutional review or change to allow you for a second, a third or fourth term, these are the sanctions. There are, however, such protocols in place against military coup d'etat because they've all come to accept that that needs to happen. You see, at a point, there was no such protocol even against military coups because most of the time, when they met at the ECOWAS meeting, most of them were military leaders. And it was in their interest not to have such a protocol. And so it wasn't there. But as democracy took over in most countries, and looking at how brutal military takeovers were, they agreed and put in such a protocol that stops military interventions. Now, virtually every country is supposed to be democratically elected. So it is a common sense view that going forward, there should be a protocol within ECOWAS that stops any government trying to amend its constitution for a further term when your tenure has come to an end. Until we have that in place, what is happening in Ivory Coast, what is happening in Guinea would continue to happen because power is sweet and absolute power corrupts absolutely. If the person, look, the Guineans, what do you call him, Dumbaya, this guy that has taken over, trust me, we are going to have a case to deal with in Guinea.
How
because, he's beginning to... I've seen a few clips
videos
of him, and the way he even appears in in places. You can see he's already enjoying the euphoria and power around the office. It's going to take some effort to get him out or to go constitutional. They might say all the nice things when they take office, but once they get their feet in there, it's a different ballgame.
Okay. The issue about ECOWAS and having their hands tied when it comes to internal matters, when do you go beyond that, especially when people are dying? Because, again, when this referendum was introduced, there were people who hit the streets in Guinea. People were killed.
Yes.
Even after the referendum, people still hit the streets. They were protesting. People were still killed.
Yes.
When Alpha Condé eventually won the elections to run a third term as well, people still hit the streets. There were people who were arrested and detained without any, any chance to go to court and have their case heard. And it was only recently that they were released when Ken Odumbaya took over. Could ECOWAS not step in at all these points? Because how long do we have to wait? If we're saying that you cannot delve into internal matters of each country, people are dying, and you have to wait till a coup before you proffer sanctions. Is that not a little too late and a little too reactive?
You are actually speaking to the exact issue I'm saying. I'm saying that up till this point, I think they've taken it for granted that military coups are a no-go area. But we have constitutional coups. And ECOWAS has not legislated against constitutional coups so far. So there is nothing that stops them, says that, okay, if you have a constitutional coup d'etat in your country, you are a pariah. We wash our hands off you. These are the sanctions. It's spelled out. Everybody knows it in black and white print.
Okay.
That needs to be done. When Alpha Condé was doing this, any interventions, and like they have said, they did, were just mere advice and attempts to let him reason. But in today's world, we will have to go beyond that. You should not have an option in the first place to get there. And so it should be in black and white print that, look, if you decided to amend the Constitution, you are no longer, you automatically lose your membership. These are all these sanctions that they have spelled out go against you.
You from the beginning.
They seek the international systems pressure as well, so that the UN and all the international organizations come bearing on you. Once this is agreed in black and white, we will not get here anymore.
So these sanctions that have been proffered now, do you think that they would bite at all? Will they make any difference, or are they a little too late?
Oh, if it will bite at all, it will be the ordinary Guinean that will suffer. That I'll be very frank with you. But the guys there will find a way of surviving, okay? The French will find a way of protecting them. And you see, sometimes you need to go to the historical antecedents that lead to these things. When you go behind the scenes, there are some unseen hands that also have a role in what is happening. It has international dimensions, but we often do not look at them. Whatever sanctions that are going to be put in place, if the French government, for instance, is not roped in, it will not succeed. Because, unfortunately, most of the French-speaking ECOWAS countries are run from France, even their budgets.
Especially at this point when they pulled away from Guinea when Alpha Condé tried to review the Constitution as well.
Yes. So all these things are done, and I see some supernatural hand from that place supporting. And so we'll have to look at all those aspects to get these things in place. But seriously, it's not just ECOWAS. The AU. You take the whole sub-Saharan African continent, and there are a lot of such shenanigans going on. Not just us. If South Africa's Zuma had his way, he would have probably. But Unfortunately for him, like Ghana, you cannot even have such a wedding. It won't happen. But it is ongoing. And there's a need for the ECOWAS Charter, the EU Charter to also spell out these things in black and white. Stopping anyone going, you automatically lose your membership, and these are the sanctions. It should come heavily on you. Get the international system to also support it. And because we've all come to agree that this is the way we want to go. Democracy is a very slow process. It is actually the worst form of government, besides the fact that it's better than the others. But we have chosen to take that route. We need to be patient to get the fruits of it. If we don't get it, maybe our children, our children's children will benefit from it. But out of impatience, you design a constitutional coup d'etat, or you have a military coup d'etat that sets a whole system and a whole development agenda aside. This is too far.
Definitely, it is too far. Lawyer, just let you touch on this briefly, and then we can move on to our next topic. Because, well, he's saying that it's gotten to a point where maybe ECOWAS needs to relook at how it interferes or, engages some of these countries so that we take decisions even before a coup happens. But in this case, that didn't happen. There's a meeting that has happened. Do you think that these sanctions will make any difference?
First of all, the record needs to get, set that when Alpha Condé went on this route, there's no available record to even suggest remotely that African or West African leaders were opposed to that arrangement.
When you check the tabloids, it will tell you that they did speak against it.
No, I am saying that check the record. And in fact, at that time, our president was still the chair of the community. Nothing whatsoever. People have suggested that they were engaged in telephone diplomacy, calling him that don't do it. It's like encouraging your child to sleep. That is the kind of thing that they were doing. There's the need, even from principle point of view, to discourage military, that, look, once you are done with your 2 term, just go. Don't entertain. You need that self-restraint. It matters not whether the conditions permit you to even do a 3rd term. And that is where the conversation. And I am saying that these leaders who did not, having gotten the opportunity, never took any active position on this matter, now to turn around, to now blame and say they are sanctioning the organizers of this coup, smacks of hypocrisy. And so that if there is anything that should be sanctioned, it should be their hypocrisy. But you see, Bella, this whole conversation that we need protocols in place to do this, to provide a sanctioning mechanism and all of those, it's neither here nor there.
Why?
The president, the man standing by President Akufo-Addo, Alassane Ouattara, he knows the Constitution. And you see, the painful part is that Professor Alpha Condé, when he was opposition leader, the things he espoused, one would believe that with the benefit of power, he would be different. What was he doing? Increasing salaries for himself. Among other very ridiculous things. Look at what happened, on a lighter note, in Ghana, where suddenly our president says, I'm refunding the salary arrears. That meanwhile, the committee report, our president got it in June 2020 and approved it, went through parliament. Suddenly you say, no, I'm returning. So this is the kind of thing that we need to call people out. It is not enough just to say that, okay, I'm sanctioning this guy to protect democratic values. That's what they say. What democratic value? Your silence encouraged him.
But the ECOWAS will also have to review how it also responds to these issues. Because, again, they cannot just get up and say, because of what happened in La Côte d'Ivoire, we cannot allow Alassane Ouattara to join in this deliberation. Anyway, you have to review your constitution internally as well.
Yes, but you see, one of the things that you even do is that your body language. Alassane Ouattara wins. Then the next time his inauguration, you are there. What language are you sending?
So you think that he should not have attended?
No, you should have shown a certain distance that no, even if we are friends, I don't want an impression created that I agree with you changing the constitution and doing a 3rd term.
Okay.
You may be calling the person and encouraging him, but outwardly, you demonstrate that this particular thing, I do not agree. Look, and you see, the reason why I'm particular with this is that you recall when late President Mills used the word Diwufiasem, then candidate Akufo-Addo did a press conference and said, having been a foreign minister before, that portion of President Mills is not proper, and they attacked Mills for that Diwufiasem. You remember those days? And today, you have the temerity to talk about democratic value when you encourage, at least by your body language, this unconstitutional means of...
Did he have much of a choice anyway?
Yes,
I mean,
he had it.
Again, these are sovereign states. You cannot interfere.
So when the person invites you, come to my inauguration, you say, no, what you have done, I do not agree to it. Simple.
All right. We'll move on to our next topic, Richard. Okay.
How different is DPSM from this then?
But you criticize
yourself in
no, I am giving you how hypocritical Akufo-Addo was then.
I'm telling you that there is no difference in what you're saying from the situation you find yourself.
No.
And why did he say DPSM?
Richard, because he thought that you could not do that.
Hold on, lawyer. Please let Richard.
Yes.
I'm saying that. Why did President Mills of blessed memory talk about DPSM? Because he's constitutionally barred from being able to do anything or intervene. And there is no difference in this particular instance. And that's why I'm saying that there needs to be a spelling in black and white that henceforth any attempt at constitutional amendment, you have ABCD sanctions coming at you. You can get the AU and the UN, the others, to actually buy into that, to make it heavier and more effective. Because if, let's say, as in we're speaking right now, ECOWAS places some injunctions and sanctions on Guinea, and like I am foreseeing, France decides that they have a good relationship with the colonel there, it's going to come to naught. You need international buy-in into all these things. And we should not lose sight of that fact.
But that's what he's saying.
We can play the political, internal political. What he's doing is doing the political gerrymandering.
So could the president have stayed away from, especially even the Ivorian president as well, could he have decided not to attend his inauguration to send a signal that I do not agree with your decision to run for a third term?
He could have done that. That I do not disagree. But I'm saying that not going there does not in any way clothe him with the power to stop the thing from happening.
But imagine if the African heads of states all refuse to attend your inauguration because you have decided to review a constitution to allow you run a third term. That sends a message.
Will that be deterrent enough for the next person to do it? Inauguration, he can choose not to even invite anybody the next time for their inauguration.
But you cut ties with them until they return to...
Bella, the point I'm making is that it's nice. All these things are artificial, celestial outlooks. But the more effective way is that these are the sanctions and punishments if you amend your constitution.
Yeah.
And that is a more effective way of dealing with it, rather than let the thing happen and decide not to attend.
Okay.
No. We should have a practical preventive measure in place. I'm saying we should prevent it.
Okay.
We shouldn't let it happen, and then we will now be having this conversation. We shouldn't have the conversation in the first place.
Okay. Let's move on now and talk about the issue of agriculture in the country and the fact that the Ministry of Agric has indicated a temporary ban on the export of farm produce to neighboring countries. And this conversation started 2 days ago. Now, the Agric Workers Union is calling for a full audit of the Planting for Food and Jobs initiative following this directive. And this is what they're saying. Now, according to the General Secretary, he says that, well, the reasons that were given by the Deputy Agric Minister with regards to the decision to ban the export of farm produce cannot hold. And that's because the Deputy Agric Minister had indicated that we let our guards down, and even though we're producing a lot more in 2020 and early parts of this year, we tend to export a lot more of that. And so we let our guard down by realizing that we could run into a shortage. We're allowing a lot of the farm produce to go to the neighboring countries, and we did not store enough. Well, the General Secretary says that's a lie, because if you look at the period between 2020 and now, we were not producing as much maize and as much rice as well. And so we did not even have enough to export. So if he says that we're overproducing, which is why we're exporting a lot more, then that is wrong. And in fact, the achievements being touted by governments with regards to planting for food and jobs is exaggerated. And so we need to audit planting for food and jobs. Richard, I'll start with you. What do you say?
If you need an audit of planting for food and jobs, you obviously will have to also come with some information and data that contradicts what is currently being put out there. So merely saying that it's not true and you have a problem with it doesn't cut it. So I would expect that they will give us some further and better particulars on the claim they are making. If it turns out to be true, it will only help us look at where the shortfalls are and improve as a government and improve on the program. It is one program that we all accept. That is very good, and it has yielded a lot of results. Now, I doubt there's any dispute. The fact that prior to this, we were having bumper harvest and exporting a lot. Now, and why do you export? You don't export necessarily because you you just want to export. It's for the profit of it. It's for the money you are going to make. And so once I create a route, let's say to Togo, where I can sell a bag of rice for, let's say, 200 cedis, whereas it sells for 100 or 150 in my country. I really don't care whether there's hunger here or not. Once I will get a good price for that bag of rice in Togo, I'll take it there to go and sell. Okay.
Rather?
Yes.
And run into shortage eventually, which is what we're
No. You see, the farmer who is selling the thing has enough at home. And he's selling what he has. He's selling it because he needs money to buy other things. Okay? Most of the time, the prices that they would get here are lower than what they will get when they take it abroad. You understand? It's the same thing, it's the reverse when it happens, when it comes to, it's the same thing actually when it comes to the smuggling of the fertilizer and all those things. Because there's a better market across. So though the product is in short supply here, the same farmers are not getting it. Those who have this fertilizer are taking it across to go and sell. It is a demand and supply. It's the market forces that determine these things. So for him to say it is not true simply because there's food shortage, there being food shortage does not mean that I, who want my money, will not take it across to buy.
But we were also told that we had encountered a bumper harvest. The president told us that. And in fact, we had become a net exporter of food. And so would that not have given the notion?
There was evidence.
Would that not have given the notion that then we have enough, which is why people were exporting the food anyway? And so if we're told that in January and months down the line, now we're being told that we've run short of food and so we cannot export anymore and we have to save what we have. Is that not troubling?
No.
Were we misled?
Number one, when in January was that said?
When the president, during his State of the Nation address, that's when he told us, in January, yes.
And then today is how many months down?
9 months down the line.
Yeah, so it's not a month down. In any case, when you're looking at bumper harvest, that would have been of 2020. This year's harvest, it will come in 2022.
But even the peasant farmers are telling us that we're likely to encounter food shortage in 2022.
Yes, and that's what I'm saying. That looking at the farming practices currently, I'm into farming, and I'm telling you that a lot is not just the planting for food and jobs. That is an issue. You have a climate crisis on our hands. rains are either not coming or they are not coming enough when they come, or when they do come, they come so heavy they sweep everything away. So if we reduce this to just the issue of planting for food and jobs, and do not attend to these other issues, there's a climate crisis. Those in Greater Accra, what kind of rain have you seen that is enough to produce food this year? In the up north, areas where it has rained, it has overrained.
It's flooded, yeah.
Yes.
Upper west.
So naturally, all those foods are gone. These are causes for food shortages. I think somebody is just trying to play into this food and jobs politics that is coming up. But for me, across the political divide, there is acceptance that it is a very good program. I hear former President Mahama even claiming it is his baby. That is a very good idea. If he claims it is, at least we know that it's not something that will be swept aside. And the unfortunate and unlikely event that he comes back. At least he likes the idea, we'll build upon it.
Okay.
If there are, for now, for all that he has said, I haven't seen the evidence that says that planting for food and jobs has failed. What was the aim of the planting
initiative?
For food and jobs? Yes. Getting youth and Ghanaians interested in agriculture. And a lot of people have gone in. Mechanizing it. It has, those equipments that have been put in place will not all of a sudden vanish. They are still there. Tractors and combined harvesters. We've seen them bring in smaller combined harvesters that are turning over foods. But even from the beginning of the project, the issue of the Ghanaian, our self-hate, where you had fertilizer being sent and people taking it across and selling, it came out and came out strongly. That government was losing out. Though some went out, majority of it was being smuggled across. It hasn't stopped. Naturally, it will reduce yield. But beyond that, I think the project or the whole program needs to even go a step higher. I was watching, there's this company in South Africa that is through mechanization able to increase food production about 700–800% in Ghana. That is for me where we should be looking at, where the population necessarily involved in farming is not, let's say, 90% of us, but it could be just 10–20%. They are producing enough for us to eat and then export. And for me, it is mechanization that is the answer.
Okay.
And if the argument is about that, then I want to see the data. Because improved seedlings, improved horticultural and agricultural systems were introduced. We saw it.
But that's what they're saying, that it was exaggerated. And so we keep talking about the successes of it. But in actual fact, even the fact that we cannot pay for fertilizers, and as a result now, we cannot make fertilizers available to the farmers, which is why they've reduced their acreages. And so they cannot plant. If they had 3,000 acres,
hold on.
Now they have to plant about 1,000. And that's leading.
You may have a very good case, but when you play politics with it, you lose out. When you say exaggerated, we saw the foods. People bought it. People saw food being exported. I'm saying there's data of how much maize we exported, how much rice we exported, how much plantain we exported. How can you say that was exaggerated when the evidence is there? If you don't have contrary evidence, please leave that. You may have a good case, but you are stating it wrongly. The program, obviously, as I stated, the issue of fertilizers has been a major issue. And fertilizers are subsidized 50% by government. For the program to succeed, it means government will necessarily have to have continuous funds, to do that. With COVID coming in, our priorities as a country have changed. First and foremost, our monies are going into us staying alive.
So that's why we can't pay
I'm saying mean that
fertilizers?
No, you would delay payments.
Okay.
It is an area that I'm very well aware of.
Can you land on this for me so we can bring lawyer in?
Because the government is the one taking the burden and paying for it. If you bring a bag of fertilizer and it is 100 cedis, you, the farmer, pays only 50. The government takes the other 50. You know what? Originally, it was taking them a farming season for the government because you have to bring in your receipts to show that so much fertilizer has been consumed before the government reimburses you. Before that happens, the season has gone over. But I'm saying that due to COVID, we have changed our priorities. There's a lot of demands for what you should do. Running the economy is no more all about food and jobs.
All right.
So we would have to have a conversation around the program.
All right. Please land here for me.
There's a lot of cash going in there. And when you are hit against the wall, you begin to probably cut your losses and you
All right.
prioritize.
Lawyer, let me bring you in because Anthony Morrison of the Chamber of Agric spoke on this issue, and he said that as far back as October 2020, they ran a research on poultry farmers and piggery farms and also, you know, at the border towns and stuff. And they realized that there had been a drop in, you know, the fertilizer. And so because of that, it also affected a drop in the production of maize and even soybean because production costs had increased. And so at that time, they alerted governments to ban the exportation of farm produce at that time. And so we had between October, January up until now, we could have taken this decision earlier to avert this shortage. So he says that where we are, we should stop dancing around it and saying that there's really no crisis because we are in a crisis. Because if we had listened to the Chamber of Agric, we would not have been here by now.
You know, Bella, not long ago, HE, John Dramani Mahama, raised the issue based on the data available to him that we are getting to a point of crisis relative to agric. Government propagandists and government assigns were unleashed to attack him. In fact, the communication director of the MPP, my senior Yabuabia Samoa, even indicated that there was no hardship in Ghana and that Mahama was the one creating a perception of that. You see, the thing is that this government had invested heavily in propaganda and sloganeering at the behest of actual work. So their incompetence and laziness is now covered with slogans.
How is it laziness?
No, I'm coming there.
We're told that the production of maize doubled.
You see,
rice doubled by 50% as well. So
how in God's name do you have all these food items doubling? Okay? And then the price of these items keep increasing. At least my basic economics, when supply exceeds demand, at least prices fall. You are saying that all the production of these items has doubled. Meanwhile, today, go to the market and find out the price of tomatoes, onion, maize. All these line items, they are all going up. Obviously, we are told that single-digit inflation. How that is possible, only God knows. But you see, the critical issue is that people have offered data. Think tanks have offered contrary data to this government. Like you said, Anthony Morrison, he's doing very well. There's one Dr. Charles Naba. He's also into this Peasant Farmers Association. They are providing critical data to government that the numbers you are churning out do not reflect the reality on the ground. Look, you know the principal food item for poultry farmers is maize. So when maize is not available, it directly affects their cost of production. If the price of maize also goes up, it directly affects. For the first time, egg is going for 1.5 Ghana cedis. These are the realities of people. And now when you raise these critical issues for discussion, government now says, oh, planting for food and jobs. And like they have said, let us do a critical audit. It may well be that the data being churned out do not reflect the reality on the ground. And that is why we must all stop the talk. The talk in this government is just too much. They just talk only, do nothing.
What I do?
But you can't say it's talk only and do nothing. Again, to the issue of increase in production. We were told that.
Bella, I've given you a clear scenario. Tomorrow, if you're free, I want us to do a market survey.
We have done that. Richard. We've seen how prices of produce have increased.
So how come that you mean that production had increased and price is increasing? It defies economics and logic.
But we're told that it's because of COVID and again the production and transportation of fertilizer. So that made it difficult. And the deputy agric minister said that. He said that those were the reasons why.
Fertilizer, with the greatest respect, it's not like gas. You need to carry it on trucks through our borders.
The borders are closed.
Exactly. So how are they being moved?
But that's what he's saying. That so those were some of the reasons why where we are today, and also the fact that they had not paid the fertilizer suppliers.
Doing smuggling of the fertilizer.
No, but recently he spoke just about 2 days ago.
No, then we said that the borders are closed. So the idea of smuggling has not even come. It's actually the pricing of the fertilizer. So the farmers are unable to buy it on themselves. Look, Bella, just open your line and ask farmers to tell you the price of NPK and others.
They're getting it for 50% of the original
and it has gone up. It has gone up.
The production is not even there. You see, the importers are not even bringing the product because they're not also getting it from the source.
This whole notion that we should ban export of food items is neither here nor there.
But the experts
are the ones who said it earlier, that we should have even done it earlier.
No. What I'm telling you is that they claim that we are actually doing that. Which countries are we exporting the food to? Is it Togo or Mali? The people
Ivory Coast, Togo, Burkina Faso, we export a lot of food to them.
No, if you are in Bolga, you see the trucks that are coming from Burkina Faso with tomatoes.
It's tomatoes.
So what
are we also not exporting?
We take maize there, rice there, sorghum.
It is not true.
But do we not import more than we export?
Not true.
The major item we import from Burkina Faso is tomatoes. The rest of it, sorghum. They eat a lot of sorghum. Go to Bolga. A lot of the sorghum in Bolga goes into...
There's no data to support it. The most important...
What are you talking about?
But we're told that we import beans.
The point is that,
we import beans from the northern parts of Ghana. We import them into the country.
Government has done too much.
Farmers are saying that even that we're importing, and yet we're being told that we become the net exporter of food. We're producing more.
That's all.
But in actual fact, when you hit the ground, we're importing a lot more than we're exporting. And this is what the farmers are saying. No, but a farmer spoke and he said that when you go towards the northern parts of Ghana, when you go there, we import beans.
And I'm asking that in the list of items that were exported, was beans listed?
No, his concern is that we're saying we're exporting more to neighboring countries, but in actual fact, we're importing more than we are exporting.
No. You are misrepresenting what he's saying. If we are
you didn't hear him, did you? I heard him.
No, but from what they are saying, if we are importing beans, who says that we are self-sufficient in everything? There's no nation that is self-sufficient in everything. So if we are exporting more rice, plantain, maize and the rest,
hold on.
It makes sense.
I have like 10 seconds to go, so we'll have to wrap up.
Let's use your esteemed platform to urge this government to, to invest less in propaganda and invest more in agric, because we need food. You and I are coming from food-growing communities. Let's encourage your people to invest.
Was it not propaganda that the former president said, well, I started this initiative and they came and put a name on it? Is that not propaganda too?
No, hold on. No, it's never.
Okay.
Because it's a Canadian
Okay.
All right. You go into farming and stop going to court and talking plenty.
Good morning to Comrade Mutala. He says, ask my brother Richard how much a bag of maize is and whether the quantity of TZ he eats hasn't changed. So Comrade Mutala says I should ask you if you know the price of a bag of maize and whether the quantity of TZ that you eat hasn't changed.
It has changed.
Good morning to Mr. Richard Kumado. He says, oh, well, I hope you enjoy the show. And also, Vincent says that calling out the hypocrisy of the ECOWAS by lawyer Didi Tamaklo clearly is unfounded. The Guinean people went through a legal procedure with a referendum where their voices made the difference. Well, that can be contested because these same people are saying that even the referendum, there was some untoward think that happened, which is why the referendum went through. So he says Alpha Conde did not do so illegally. Ghana has similar provisions. The Constitution of Ghana parliaments from making Ghana a one-party state, stops parliaments from making Ghana a one-party state, and this is clearly a substantive limitation. However, the Constitution allows for a referendum to change this if the sovereign people so decides, and that won't make it illegal. That's from Echo Vincent. And birthday birthday wishes, by the way. Happy birthday to the Chief Executive of Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, Dr. Edward Kwame Chum-Kwapong, also known as Nana Asari Kofi Doma Kwahine Akropong in the Eastern region. Long life in health, wealth, and mirth. May Oduman Kuma bestow upon you the blessings from the management and staff of FWSC. Happy birthday to Dr. Emmanuel Ni Amataki of the St. Andrew's Anglican Church. In the studios, I've had Richard Nyama. He's a member of the MPP communications team. And Ejuzi Tamaklo is a lawyer. He's a member of the legal team of the NDC. Okay.
His birthday is on Sunday.
Oh, happy birthday in advance. Happy birthday in advance. Thank you for the love. Thank you to Sheila Bonsu for styling me. We'll be having a conversation with Uncle Lebo White on love. I've seen messages coming in already. We'll get into that shortly. Keep watching.